This is Peace Talks, the podcast that covers everything to do with competitive jigsaw puzzling. Kristin Thuv's casual puzzling style at the 2022 World Jigsaw Competition was deceivingly fast, earning her second place. In this episode, we talk about her journey from being a casual jigsaw puzzler to being a person who set a goal to win the World Championship and then did. Kristin Thuv, thank you for joining Peace Talks.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on becoming the world champion.
Thank you. That's very kind.
I want to dig into what your experience was at Worlds this year and how your approach to puzzling is in general. But let's begin at the beginning. You've mentioned you've been puzzling your whole life. What are your earliest puzzle memories?
Oh, I remember during Christmases, we would do larger puzzles and people from the family would come around and we would just sit there quietly or have nice conversations while we did the puzzles.
How far back was this for you? Was this like when you were very little?
Yeah, I remember when I was 6 years old. I think that's maybe the earliest memories. And then we just continued with that. And although we live in a place where there's a lot of bad weather, rain and snow and wind.
Right.
So I think for holidays when the weather didn't turn out the way we wanted to, we would do puzzles inside instead. So yeah, there was a lot of puzzling.
Is there a big puzzle culture outside of speed puzzling in Norway? Because I know that in the United States, in places that have similar weather patterns, there's much bigger puzzle culture.
Yeah, I believe so. After I won Worlds, a lot of Norwegians have been messaging me, and yeah, it seems like a lot of them love puzzles and do it as a family thing.
So you were doing it sort of casually, periodically, maybe seasonally. At what point did you, if at all, did you ever discover that maybe you were interested in jigsaw puzzling beyond just the kind of once a year sort of thing?
Well, I remember that I got some 500-piece puzzles when I was 12, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I really just enjoyed doing them alone. And yeah, I thought it was a fun and quiet activity.
And did you do the same puzzles over and over again, or did you?
Yes. I didn't have that many back then. So yeah, I did the same one over and over again. I think people in my family, they were saying, oh, you're very fast. And I think I took it more seriously than the rest of them.
Even from the very beginning?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very focused when I do something.
And were you trying to go fast, or are you just trying to sort of solve a puzzle, or?
Yeah, no, I never tried to go fast. I think that reflected in the, I don't know, the way I was doing puzzles the first year at World.
Yeah.
That I had never thought about doing it very speedy. I just did the puzzles.
When did you hear about speed puzzling?
I believe it was in 2020. So it was a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the biggest newspapers here in Norway, they had an article about a couple of Norwegian guys that went to Valladolid for the Worlds in 2019, was it? And my sister sent me it and was like, this is something you should do.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What made her think that was a good fit for you? Because you have you been doing a lot of puzzles? You said that your family had noticed that you were fast.
Yeah, I think noticing that I was fast, and I suppose my love for puzzles had grown the last years. I think it became more available in stores here in Norway also. So maybe the popularity was growing amongst other people also. But that's when I really started practicing and trying to be fast and taking the time and yeah.
So after you were told you should go to Worlds, you decided to take it even more seriously?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure that I was going to do Worlds, and at that point, there was a pandemic, and we didn't know when was things gonna go back to normal.
So you started timing yourself. Did you have anything to compare that against?
No, nothing. I think I remember setting a goal that I would do all the puzzles I owned, like 500 puzzles, and get them below 1 hour. That was my first plan.
Were you able to achieve that before heading off to Worlds?
I think so, yeah. Like, there's this tiger picture that comes to mind. It's like tiger and blue background. I think that was like my nemesis puzzle. I'm not, I'm not quite sure about that one. But I think I made it like 59 minutes, and yeah.
So you finally got there.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, so at some point you decided to actually go off to Worlds.
Yeah.
Is that because you felt like your times were good enough, or what drove you to finally make that decision?
As I mentioned, I didn't have anything to compare with because
Mm-hmm.
I had never even like Googled or tried to search on YouTube for speed puzzling. So I didn't know what it actually was. I think because like of the pandemic, I don't know if I would have gone if it wasn't because of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think we all were just like happy that the world was coming back to normal and being able to travel again. And it was a bit scary also. So, but I think maybe that's one of the reasons that we actually did it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you went as a family, right?
Yeah. Well, that year it was the first year. It was me and my mother, and my brother also went, but he didn't puzzle. Yeah.
So you competed with your mother in pairs.
Yeah.
Nice. Was there anything that you worked on as in preparation specifically to get your times faster before going off to Worlds?
No,
You
nothing.
just did repetition.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't do anything special. Except for the below 1 hour goal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just remember. I think I was in Group C in the qualifying round,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like watching the live streams from our Airbnb apartment, Airbnb, yeah. And I could just look like or watch all the people emptying their box and all the pieces out on the table. And
Right.
a lot of them are like standing, and then they would just like started flipping pieces, and I was like, what are they doing? I've never seen anything like this before.
Right.
Uh,
Because how would you have ever seen something like that?
yeah, and I thought it was really strange. It had never like occurred to me to do it that way.
Because you've been leaving the pieces in the box,
Yeah,
pulling
yeah,
them out and sorting them, and just kind of that's how you'd always done it.
yeah, absolutely.
How did that make you feel with respect to your technique, seeing these other people doing things in a different way?
Oh, I was very nervous.
Is
I
that right?
almost didn't want to go because I felt, yeah, it was just so strange. And like the times in the category like B and not A and B, they were really good. And it was like puzzles that I had never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like Alejandro did his in like 32 or 33 minutes, and it was an amazing time. So I felt, yeah, I was very nervous, and I didn't have any like faith in myself that I could do this.
How is that venue? Like especially the first time you walk into it.
And I think the first year it seemed a lot bigger because there wasn't that many people the first year.
I was just watching some video of the first year, and there were so few people there.
Yeah, very few. The dome felt a lot larger, like more space here. Yeah.
You went into your first heat. You were doing your technique. You're sitting, sorting from the box, leaning on one hand, famously. Watching it as an outsider, you could be forgiven for thinking that you weren't necessarily all that interested in what was going on. But I suspect internally there's a very different story.
I think surprisingly, like before the round started, I was very nervous and very like subconscious because I would be like the odd one out, doing something differently than the rest of them. But like when I just like when I start puzzling, my mind just goes kind of blank, and I wasn't nervous and stressing at all.
So you enter some sort of flow state and everything just kind of disappears?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the way I was puzzling, it was very relaxing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it started like an adrenaline response, um, because that I feel now when I'm puzzling, because I'm really like focusing on speed and just being as fast as I can. But back then, it was quite relaxing. Like
Is
I
that
would just,
right?
yeah, I would just do the sorting,
Yeah,
and
you sort of looked relaxed.
yeah, it was,
Like you look like, okay, well, I'm just going to do my thing here.
yeah,
So then was it surprising the result? Because you came out first.
yeah,
How
yeah.
did you feel about that?
It was very surprising. And I remember like the cameraman, they wanted like a reaction, but I was just feeling sort of sleepy and and relaxed.
Because this was just a nice, relaxing activity for you.
Yeah, and like the puzzle is done, and that's it. Yeah, as I remember, they were like standing there and making like hand gestures and like smile and do stuff. And I think I gave like a thumbs up or something.
Right,
Mm.
classic. Yeah, at the end, you seem satisfied. The look on your face seemed like, yeah, okay, I had that experience that went according about like I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised because in round A and B, um, the times were very low. But in my group, I think I finished in like 37 minutes something. So I didn't
Mhm.
think that would be like a winning time. Uh, but yeah, it was.
I think there were no semis that year, right? It was just went straight into finals. So finals, same approach. One of the things that's fun to watch about, especially the early times of you doing things, is it doesn't look like you're trying to go very fast. You know, like you're saying, maybe you're not trying to go all that fast. You're in the zone. You're just kind of doing your thing, and yet it turns out to be quite fast. So it's deceiving. It's actually fun to watch in that respect because
Yeah,
you're like, oh, especially because like I think in the finals, you hadn't put any pieces together in the first 10 minutes. Like you're sorting out of the box, you're making piles, and they're very neat piles, very obviously about some things, like about specific. Here's the pile that's this one object. Here's the pile that's the other object, and you're like, wow, there's no reason to suspect that Kristin's going to come out, anywhere near in the top because she's just sort of pacing along, and then those piles come together just so fast. One of the things I marveled at actually watching even through to this day is that folks like Alejandro have very fast hands, right? There's a lot of motion going on. And your hands are constantly in motion as well. They're not necessarily speedy, but they're amazingly precise. Like
yeah,
one of the things that seems like is an edge that you have is that when you put a piece in, you almost never have to fiddle with it. Like it
mm,
goes right in where it goes. And you, like Alejandro, seem to have a very light touch with the way that you put your pieces in. So you're not like jamming them in a lot. But especially in the early years, that's really clear. Like you see, you pick up exactly the piece, you put it exactly where it goes. There's no moving it around or anything like that. Is that just? I assume, based on what you've said before, that wasn't a practice technique. That's just sort of how you do puzzles.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just like conserving energy, so taking the correct piece and placing it the right way. Yeah,
Right. And so does your brain look at a piece for the most part and know, like, if you know where it goes at all, you're like, I know this goes exactly here and it turns this way. Because
yeah,
the other thing that you do, especially in the early years, that is really noticeable is that in flight, while you're moving your hand, you're pivoting the piece so that whatever orientation it was when you picked it up, it's in the right orientation when you drop it down.
yeah,
Which to me suggests like you've got a mental model of not just that it goes over in this area, but that it goes exactly this way.
yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, it feels very natural for me. Yeah, when I like look at the piece and I have like the place, or yeah, I know exactly where it goes and what direction, and I don't need to like spend too much time trying to think like how should I turn it, and yeah, just do it automatically. Mm.
Right, right. Your hand just does what your hand does, right?
Yeah, and then I can just start like looking for the next piece at the same time. Yeah.
So ultimately, you came in second in that first finals to Alejandro by about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
In an interview at the time, you said that that was nerve wracking. So it sounds like less like you were having the calm first round experience. So what was that like?
Yeah, I think the finals um, they were more nerve wracking. Um, and my brother started saying like, I think I can do top three, and that made me really nervous.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so he added a lot of pressure just by telling you that he thought you could achieve the top three. So there's like expectation now. Is
it
that
did.
why that?
Yeah, yeah. After the qualifying round, I even went out and I bought like a 500 piece puzzle, and back at the apartment, I tried to like empty the box out with all the pieces and do like the flip, and like I tried to use both hands and stuff, and it was just a total mess.
Is that right?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. It was so difficult. So I almost like didn't believe that I was good at puzzling at that point.
It's interesting that like it feels like you came into the competition sort of you didn't have any expectations about what would happen. You're fine. You go through the first
Yeah,
round. You're having a nice relaxing puzzle moment, and then you get first place, and maybe that's like you're like, okay, that's great, good for me. But you're not necessarily thinking a lot of it, and then something happened, maybe your brother, where suddenly you're like, oh no, but you like now you've got to put a lot of pressure on yourself because you can win this, and now you've got to try really hard, and it's an interesting switch that flipped there somewhere.
yeah,
It's interesting. You have talked in the past about how your family, at least in the most recent worlds, like gives you pep talks to help you kind of get going. That
yeah.
sounds like your brother's experience was that maybe he gave you the wrong pep talk the first time around.
I think it was meant to be a pep talk, or like, I believe in you. I think you
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
top three. Yeah, but I didn't. I was like maybe playing around with top 10,
Hmm.
but yeah, then I started like thinking, oh, he thinks I can do like top three. Oh, okay. And then I was placed at table two, which I suppose also meant like they also believed I could do top three.
Right.
So yeah, it was very. And also like in the qualifying round, I was placed at, I don't know which table, but it was sort of in the middle. But now
It's like
suddenly I was like,
25, I think.
yeah, but now suddenly I was like in the front, and there were more like cameras, and
Mm.
yeah,
Did that have a big impact on you, do you think?
yeah, I think so.
So a lot changed between your heat and the finals that made it a very different experience, it sounds like.
Yeah, also that like after the qualifying round, a lot of people came up to me and was like, "Wow, that was amazing! Uh, what a like strange or cool way to do like a puzzle. I've
Uh-huh.
never seen anything like this, and wow, yeah." So that also made me more nervous.
Is it more nervous because people were specifically talking about your technique or more nervous because people noticed that you were doing well?
I think both. Yeah,
Yeah.
a combination.
I suspect that you've heard a lot about people talking about your technique in 2022. How do you feel about the focus on how you did puzzling that year, and the fact that it still comes up? I'm going to ask you more about it later in this conversation. Like, is that something that you're tired of talking about, or is it like feel like it's part of the progress? I guess the real question is, how did you feel about people suddenly paying attention to like the minutia of what it is that you're doing on something?
It was fun. It was a fun feeling when we were in Valladolid, and then we went back home, and I kind of put it behind me, and I got really sick with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think maybe, I don't remember when, but suddenly I got sent this video from Karen Puzzles. Like my
Mm-hmm.
sister sent me the video
Yep.
that she had made, and she was talking about me, like, and there was a lot of focus on my technique,
Uh-huh.
and that was very, I don't know how to describe it.
Like surreal.
Yeah, yeah, it was surreal, and also, again, I had never heard about like Karen Puzzles or anything, but I could see like her YouTube channel was like pretty big, and yeah, it was kind of daunting.
I can imagine. So you ended up coming in second. That seems pretty great. How did you feel about it?
I was really happy, yeah, and I think the best part was that I got a lot of puzzles. Like I was like I'm a big, I was like a big puzzle nerd, and I got this big pile of puzzles, and I was so happy. Um,
Like
because
from the competition or like
yeah, like from the competition, and also like because of the second place,
mm-hmm.
and yeah, me and my mother, I think we took maybe fourth place in
Oh, yeah.
in pair. I don't remember, but yeah, we also got like a prize there, and yeah, I think also they just gave out puzzles like from the like storage because they had too much.
Uh-huh.
Mm. And I was just like over the moon about these puzzles.
That's
Because
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, it makes sense though, right? Like if you're into puzzles and suddenly there's like all these new puzzles that you get to play with, I can imagine, yeah, that would be a ton of fun. How
yeah,
was puzzling with your mom?
it was great. It was really nice. I remember she got like a lot more nervous about the camera and stuff. At one point, I think like when they came to our table, she was just like looking up at them, and it was almost like she wanted to wave or something, and I had to be like, focus. Yeah. Yeah,
Mom, we've got some work to do here.
yeah, we have to focus her. Yeah, but it was really nice. It's it's a great experience.
So after Worlds, after 22 Worlds, did you imagine you wanted to come back?
I think I wanted to go back and like compete, but at the same time, yeah, I got really sick from COVID
Mm-hmm.
on our travel back, and it was a bit like traumatizing.
Oh yeah.
Um,
You're not the only person I've heard that from, by the way. I've heard a
yeah,
number of people talk
yeah, I
about like
know.
getting COVID and not wanting to go back.
Yeah, I mean the whole like it shifts how you experience it um, when you get really sick. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, but then my sister and her now husband, they also started hustling, and they wanted to go.
Were
So
they inspired by the what you had experienced?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And so you had more family momentum to go back in 2023.
yeah, exactly.
So your style changed pretty dramatically. Once we see you sort of show up in Heat A in 2023 Worlds, suddenly you're standing, you're dumping the pieces out of the box, you've got fewer piles, you've got a lot seemingly less sorted, and you're using both hands. I imagine that changing from your prior style to a new style must have taken a lot of work.
Yeah, it took a lot of work. It was like a different feeling because doing it the way I always did it was very relaxing.
Yeah, comforting, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was. And I could just let my mind drift off to other things and just, yeah, think about life. But
Right.
yeah, think about life.
Right. It's
But now I
kept
had
your
like,
hands busy.
yeah, but now I had to focus on like moving faster and
Hmm.
also getting my left hand to also do some work. That was hard. It just wanted to like chill out all the time.
You've mentioned that it's like has a second brain of its own. So I like that
Yeah,
you talk about it like it wants to chill out.
Yeah, it took a lot of work. And also, it was very tiring, like for my neck, because I was also used to like leaning my head on my
Oh yeah,
arm. Yeah,
yeah.
so that was also different. And then I think doing it that way also causes like more adrenaline in your body.
Right, because now there's a different intent to what you're doing.
Yeah, mm,
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. You're trying to go fast as opposed to
Yeah,
just sort of relaxing.
but
Yeah,
then quite early on, I noticed that my times were getting faster, despite me having a bit of like chaos and difficulties with my hand and stuff. So the times were already improving, and that made me want to just keep at it.
so you were keeping track of your times.
Yeah,
Were you doing anything in particular to try and make this change, or were you just like, I'm gonna put together this puzzle and I'm just gonna make sure my left hand's involved and like,
I think like the natural thing was at first to just focus on the flipping pieces with both hands
mm-hmm,
and trying to like at first it's almost like your left hand wants to pick up a piece and then give it to your right hand, and then that can do like the rest of the work.
right?
Yeah, so I had to like focus on that, like pick up a piece with my left hand and actually like place it in the pile where the piece was supposed to go.
Did you practice flipping specifically?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. Mm.
What was motivating you to work so hard to improve things? Were you just like intrinsically motivated, or what made you want to put in all this effort to do something that is a harder way, right? You're having to train your brain to do something entirely different.
So first of all, it was a lot of fun, like doing something differently, and I think yeah, like challenging your brain uh, and your fine motor skills, like on your left hand.
Yeah, it's sort of brain stimulating.
Yeah, like an exercise for your mind,
Yeah.
for your brain. Yeah, and I think that's always like important uh,
Hmm.
to do. So that was fun.
Do you get any joy out of optimizing your puzzling process? 'Cause I know some people like to just like part of the fun is tweaking every little thing and trying to make things go faster and practicing those things. Is that fun for you, or is it more just the process of engaging your whole brain?
Maybe it depends on what way you do it. Like when I do a puzzle, I like see it through and do it like from start to finish, because I think some people are like I don't know practicing on specific parts maybe. Yeah.
Yep. Like
So
flipping.
yeah, I mean I tried. Yeah, I tried to do that a bit,
Hmm.
and also have like flipping competitions with family members.
Nice.
But yeah, if I do it as a competition, I can like it because I have a I'm very competitive.
Are you competitive in other things besides jigsaw puzzling?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, like if I'm walking up a hill and there's a person like in front of me, I need to get past that person.
So your brain is already built to try and do something better than everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, and so you monitored your progress as you went along as well. So you had some feedback that the stuff that you were doing was making a difference.
yeah. I mean, I keep a track of all my times so I can see like the improvement. And
Mhm.
of course, if I hadn't seen any improvement at all, I probably wouldn't have like stuck to that technique because it's a lot more stressful using like both hands and trying to be fast. It's stressful.
Yeah, well, I mean, it as you said earlier, it's not the comfort way that you had been doing things. It's much more intentional. It sounds like there's a lot of more things to keep track of and to keep moving.
Yeah, it is. Like sometimes I miss the the old days, just doing it one handed and relaxing. Yeah.
I've heard you say you can't slow puzzle anymore.
No,
Is that true?
it's very difficult. It's not slow puzzling if you have to like concentrate to do slow. I mean, it doesn't feel like naturally slow, relaxing puzzling. Yeah, because it's more like I have to. I'm like, oh, I can see all those pieces. They're like going over there, but okay, I'll just wait and I'll do it slowly. Like,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't feel relaxing.
No. So does speed puzzling the way you do it now feel relaxing?
No, not at all. I mean, it's a bit, kind of sad. Like, I lost that part of puzzling,
Uh-huh.
but I gained a lot of other things. So I guess it's okay.
You're the best in the world. I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
So 2023 Worlds, you're going there with your family. Now you're competing in teams as well, I imagine. Yeah. Did you guys practice much on teams?
I can't remember. We definitely practiced more for this year than we did for the 2023. And also because like my sister and brother-in-law, they only like started doing jigsaw puzzles after the 2022 Worlds. So they didn't have a lot of experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So practicing as a team wasn't like very easy.
I imagine your family has perhaps asked you to help them become faster, or you've wanted to help them become faster. I'm curious as to if that is true. Were you able to help them go any faster?
I'm not sure. I think they probably like picked up on something. Like sometimes one of them like comments that, "Oh, I see that you do this, so I will try to do this also." Having each other like to do like puzzles together, it's motivating, and yeah, I think it makes all of us better puzzlers, speed puzzlers. But I think I like gained most from having them as a support and giving me feedback like you should try this, and yeah, and also just having someone to talk about, like when I notice that I have a problem, and being able to talk with them and see if we can like come up with a solution.
Interesting. Can you remember any examples that you can pass along where that happened?
So right now I've noticed that I have a blind spot on my bottom left corner.
Really?
Yeah. So then I have to like actively think that you should you should look down, because I just don't notice the pieces there. And sometimes I have like missing pieces and they are just right there. Like,
so these are like loose pieces that might be sitting in your lower left area.
Yeah. Yeah. And even sometimes there's like a pile I've gathered and it's just on the bottom left. So it's not there. I can't see it.
So speaking of missing pieces, your first heat at the 2023 Worlds and individuals.
Don't remind me. Yeah.
But I have to. As we talked about, you were out of the gates with a new style. It seemed to be functioning really well for you. But really early in that puzzle, you discovered you had some missing pieces that were probably not your fault.
Well, I didn't know that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, maybe they were in the lower left corner of your blind spot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, that was the problem. Like, I wasn't sure what was going on.
So how did that impact your competition?
A lot.
Is that right?
I think now it's a good experience to have had, because it made me realize that if I'm missing some pieces, I just have to like put that out of my mind. Like, don't focus on that. Because at that time, I just got really hung up on those missing pieces. And I spent so much time looking for them.
And was it also just sort of distracting in the back of your mind while you're working on other parts of the puzzle?
All the time. And I felt like in the 2023 there were so like high expectations from me. And this was like round A, and I was on table 1, and I just felt like all eyes are on me, and I wanted to like show off my new technique. And
That's
then
awesome.
Nothing, like those pieces, it just really messed with my head. I think I almost felt like paranoid. I was like, where are those pieces? Are they in my pockets? like where are they? And what have I done to them?
Uh-huh.
And I was just like looking around, like on the floor, on the table, and I was sure like they're just placed somewhere obvious, and everyone else can like see them
Yeah.
except me. And then everyone is like laughing, like, "Oh, why aren't you like putting those pieces in?"
Oh, that's
Um,
terrible. So you came in feeling sounds like fairly good about where you were, and the very first thing you did managed to like undermine your confidence in that respect.
yeah, absolutely. And it was a really awful experience, but yeah, I mean now I'm more prepared. So it was just a qualifying round, and so I didn't like lose anything. But I can just imagine if it had been like a final, it would have
Right.
been really awful.
So you ended up finishing second in that round. So
Yeah,
at least the new technique is at least working fairly well.
yeah,
You haven't moved back. First place was Mercedes Artifer,
yeah. It was.
and then in the next semis, you ended up beating her. So that must have felt good, and no missing pieces. Did you feel better after the semis round?
Yeah, I did, and that was a
Circle of
round.
colors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a round puzzle, and those are not my strongest. I think they're very difficult. I should
yeah.
practice them more, but I don't like them that much. Uh, but
Is that
yeah, so
because you're just not used to them, or do you object to them in some way?
it's probably that I'm not used to them. But I
Hmm.
just think they take up too much space also compared to the regular 500. It takes more like planning, and yeah, I don't enjoy them that much. It doesn't feel for me as real speed puzzling. I mean,
Interesting.
it is, but it just doesn't feel like that to me. I mean, it's probably just because the pieces are different. They're Yeah, I mean, everyone that has done them knows that the pieces are kind of funky.
Yeah.
So I don't have the same like intuition on those.
Do I remember correctly that you puzzled up until maybe recently almost primarily with Ravensburger puzzles?
Yeah,
So you had a very, I'm going to guess, if that was the primary thing you've been doing and you've done a lot of repetitions of things, that you have a familiarity with sort of the rectangle Ravensburger puzzles and like
yeah,
how they work and how they feel and that sort of thing. So I can imagine anything that looks different may cause your brain to be to object to it. Like, what is this weird thing that's going on here?
yeah. It doesn't go as smoothly as the squared ones. No.
I noted that it seemed like you looked stressed, especially near the end of that one.
On the round one,
Yeah, and that finishing the puzzle looked more like relief than anything else. Like you finished first, but you look more relieved than like satisfied.
yeah, because I remember a couple of weeks before the world, my sister said that there was some like rumors on Instagram that this year they would maybe have like circular puzzles in the
Mm,
competition.
mhm.
So we got two of those, and like I think I did those 2 times, and I didn't feel very good about it. And then yeah, in the second or the semi-finals, everyone could see like the bags, like the boxes. They
Right.
were that it was
Square.
round. Yeah, I don't think I had like a good feeling going into that round either, especially because of the experience I had from the qualifying round. So I was quite relieved, yeah, when I got like first place.
Did that restore some of your confidence?
Yeah, mm. I think it was very important before the finals. Yeah,
I was gonna say the timing is great, right?
yeah,
It's good to
yeah, I
it's good
think
to
so.
have a solid win before you have to go into the finals.
Yeah,
Going into the finals, did you think you had a good chance of winning?
I don't think I believed I had a good chance at winning. Um, I think I wanted to like defend my second place.
Oh, interesting. You, the person who wants to compete with another person walking up a hill is satisfied with defending second place.
Yeah, but I think it was like to protect myself. Yeah.
To show that it wasn't like a fluke or something.
Yeah, I think so, because there were more people in 2023 than the year before.
Yes.
So I thought, yeah, maybe I should just be happy like with second place. Yeah.
When you finished in second place in the finals, is that satisfying?
Yeah, I was relieved then as well.
I was going to say, again, my notes here are that you looked stressed at the end and more relieved than anything when you finished.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you're like puzzling, and I can like hear that people are cheering one time, but then I'm not sure if they're like cheering a second time or third time or yeah. Despite it just being like 34 seconds or something, I lose all sense of time. So when I finished, I wasn't sure like am I second or am I third or what?
Right.
Yeah, and no one could like answer me.
Is that right?
So I was a bit confused also. Yeah.
It's true though, like especially if it's people right near the table. Like everybody knows who the first person is, but after that it gets confusing. So I guess I understand.
Yeah. And I was also feeling like just exhausted. And then there's like cameras and people talking to you. So like afterwards, people were asking me if I was very disappointed. So I had to go around being like, no, I'm happy. I'm happy with second place. It's no problem. Yeah.
I'm thrilled. Yeah.
And I was. Yeah.
How do you feel about like when you've put a lot of energy now you've got like adrenaline going, unlike the first year, like you're intensely focused, you're pushing really hard. It probably uses a lot of your mental energy to get the like to bring the puzzle together. You get the last thing in, you're sort of done and you're feeling mostly probably relief. You're like, great, I did fine, I feel satisfied by that. And then suddenly everybody's in your face asking you a bunch of questions.
I mean, the feeling is different. Like this year when I won, it was fun. It was cool. The adrenaline doesn't stop then. It's just like wow, keeps going. But when you're not even sure that you got second place, it's like kind of it's not annoying, but it's not a fun feeling. Yeah.
So you finished second. Sounds like that was more than satisfying. It's vindication in a way. Like you're like, yes, this is I'm actually good enough to do this.
Yeah, and I wasn't like feeling super well either. Like that year, I also got COVID, so maybe I already then haven't. I also was told like it was only like 34 seconds or something. I was like thrilled to go from was it 7 minutes?
Yeah,
something to 34 seconds. I think that's amazing. So I was very happy about that.
Then after Worlds 2023, how are you feeling in terms of what are you thinking about in terms of Worlds 2024? I assume by then you're like, I am definitely going.
Yeah, so my thoughts about it was that next year I'm taking first place. Yeah, there's no stopping me.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you have good indications that that's possible, right? You made a large progress between 2022 and 2023.
Exactly. And I didn't have like 2022, it was my first ever speed puzzling competition. 2023, it was my second. Like I didn't have anything in between there. So I couldn't like
That's right.
test my new technique and my skill level. So I didn't have anything to like compare with, except for like when people posted their times on Instagram or something. You can like compare.
You were focused on the possibility that you could win because you were within striking distance this time around, 2023.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take much; just a different puzzle could throw the times in a different direction. It's not like the 7 minutes is sort of a big, huge gap, right? So a different puzzle may not have changed the order of placement, but 30 seconds, like that's a pretty achievable goal.
Yeah, and it also showed me that I need to take seconds of the different parts of the puzzle. So it's like No, I can't like put the box up on something. I just have to like place it down as fast as possible. So there's stuff like that, and like, oh,
Every second counts.
yeah, and can I like do the flipping like 10 seconds faster? That's great. Yeah, just focus on speed like through the whole puzzle, because I would still have trouble that sometimes I was suddenly just too relaxed.
Yeah.
So I had to just focus on being like on all the time.
And so did you make that a goal of sort of the time between 2023 and 2024 was to like really just focus in on every little thing where you can make something faster?
Yeah.
And were you practicing specific things to try and make that happen? And I like data, were you keeping track of every little thing, or were you just sort of mentally keeping track of it?
Maybe more like mentally, like it was the flipping part, like
Hmm.
flipping the pieces. Or I did write down sometimes, because I tried like different approaches. Should I do just flip everything and then take out the edges? Should I like flip and do the edges at the same time? And should I like do the flipping, take out the edges and other stuff? And yeah, just trying a lot of different approaches.
What did you find was the most effective approach?
On new puzzles, it's flipping and doing the edges or like taking out the edges at the same time. Because the edges, they're easy you can like sort them out when they're upside down even. You
Yeah.
don't need to flip them. And yeah, they're easy to recognize. And it's just nice to have like, is it around 70 something pieces on a 500 puzzle piece? So you can just get them out of the way.
Right. That gives you fewer things to have to look at in the
Yeah,
piles that you have left. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, then you just do the flipping and the sorting of the edges before I start looking at other things to sort out. Yeah.
I've noticed that you often leave the edges to the very end. Is there a time when you do that and a time when you don't, or it just feels a particular way? Or I'm often surprised that you have like a great deal of the puzzle with no edges around it yet. But sometimes you do the edge like early on. Are you just opportunistic as to when you choose to bring that extra pile of 70 pieces into play?
I think a big part of it is just intuition. Like it feels that this is the right time to do it.
Hmm.
But of course, I do give it like some thought. If there are things that I want to build that are connected to the edge, I want to do that edge.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not always necessary to do like the whole edge. You can just do some pieces of it. And of course, like if you're doing a landscape and you want to start with the sky or something, it's a good idea to like do the edge first. But often you can just like start in the middle. And then I think maybe I took some advice from Alejandro, that sometimes when he feels that things are like going slower, he does the edge.
Yeah, I was thinking some people leave themselves little piles and of things to do, like if the rest of it slows down. And so I was wondering if like edges might be something like that for you. It sounds like they are for Alejandro, where you can give yourself a little boost by having something that you know you could probably knock out fairly quickly.
Yeah, but I also know there's a lot of people that try to, yeah, as you say, have like piles, maybe of something more easy that they could
Hmm.
hop into if things go slow. But I've tried that and it does not work for me. Like I like to do the easy part first.
Right?
Mm.
Because there's a lot of benefits to doing that, in my personal opinion. It gets those pieces, like the more pieces you have assembled, the fewer pieces you have to look at, the more options you have to put something around.
Exactly.
And
Mm.
if you can get it done, get it done. But
Yeah,
I do know that for some people, there's a psychological boost, and everybody approaches puzzling in slightly different ways, and those ways are all valid if that helps them get to a place. But
yeah, absolutely. Mm.
between 2023 and 2024, you said between 22 and 23, you didn't do any competitions. And then suddenly there was a wide variety of competitions available between 23 and 24. So Michelle Casper's Euro Jigsaw Jam comes out. There's a Norway national competition.
Yes.
Looks like you competed in at least 6 competitions between that between 23 and 24. So how did that play into kind of your experience? And were you thinking about moving towards Worlds when you were engaged in those things? It seems like it gives you more opportunity to practice, but I don't know how much those are fun all by themselves or those were a means to an end to sort of get better at for Worlds.
Both. The online competitions, they did a great deal for me, like for the practice part. Having the opportunity to do a puzzle that you haven't seen beforehand, and then and being like in a competitive state of mind, like this matters. Yeah, I think it was a really good like exercise.
And you got exposed to a lot of brands you haven't.
Yeah, that was also very maybe like confidence boosting because I started thinking, oh, I can only do like Ravensburger pop.
You're a specialist.
Yeah, and then I actually, I got like a first place. I beat Alejandro in, was it the first competition? Yeah,
yes.
It was like a Bluebird, the brand, and I had never done that before. So that was a real, boost to my confidence.
There was a boost to your confidence in that you were able to sort of master a puzzle company that you've not done before. I assume a boost in confidence and also beating Alejandro.
Yeah, of course.
By more than he beat you in the 2023 Worlds.
Oh, really?
So you beat him by twice as much. It was a minute and some seconds.
Oh, okay.
So from an outsider, the story of you and Alejandro have become increasingly intertwined, right? And so seeing you guys compete against each other is fun to watch. And so when you beat him, it seems meaningful. But that doesn't mean that it is meaningful for you, right? Because you're in an online competition. Like you said, at 2023 Worlds, you were like, I'm happy to be second and defend show that you can really be a hardcore competitor. So what was it like when you beat Alejandro in the first online competition? Was it meaningful or was it just another day?
It was very meaningful. Yeah. Because, after World 2023 and having that like 34-second gap between us, I started thinking, oh, I can do this. Like, I can take first place. And then having that online competition where I actually beat him, it was a good feeling. It was really fun. And of course, like he's a great guy, and we don't have any um, like bad feelings towards each other. So he just like congratulated me, and also thought it was like great and fun. So and that also is a good feeling. Like there's no bad feelings. Like everyone is good friends.
This is a great thing about the puzzling community I continue to find is that everybody is rooting for everybody else. Like I want to win, but if you win, that's great too.
Yeah.
Like I want to do my best. Like I will see people who are hardcore competitors and somebody wins ahead of them and they will stop to clap really quick and then go back to puzzling.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're losing valuable time right there.
Yeah.
So over the course of the time between 23 and 24 Worlds, you competed against Alejandro a number of times. In fact, I think every time you did Jigsaw Jam, he was also in the Jigsaw Jam.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but maybe that's correct. I don't know. But yeah, he would also win some, and then I would win some. And,
that's right. So it was fun, right? Because you guys are swapping places back and forth.
Yeah.
Was that fun for you as well, or is that not all that interesting? Like,
no, that was fun. I think it's like important to see that we're both fast puzzlers, so there's no time to rest. Like you have to take this seriously.
Yeah. Is that right? So do you feel like having these competitions where you're against the person who's most likely to compete with you for first place, that has been a valuable tool in sort of keeping you going, keeping you focused, keeping you motivated throughout this time?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah. I think if I would like win everything, first of all, it wouldn't give me like a very good feeling. Like I'm very competitive, but I also get like a bad feeling if I do too well, maybe. Yeah. And also maybe you would start not trying to improve things. Yeah, it's important to sometimes not do too well. Yeah.
So having another competitor at the same level as you are gives you motivation to continue to work hard to improve.
Yeah. Yeah.
And over the course of 23 to 24, were there specific things that you did improve on?
I think like being more aware of the choices that I make while I puzzle. Yeah, just noticing that this works, this does not work. So I should not do this and try to do more of this. And then actually bringing that with me into the next puzzle.
When you go into a competition, are you specifically trying certain kinds of things to see how they will work?
Maybe not in the competition, but in the like when you're practicing puzzles outside of competitions. For example, I didn't want to look at the picture of a puzzle before I did it because I didn't want to like come up with a plan.
Uh-huh.
Because in a competition you can't do that. Yeah, I started trying to actually do that instead. Look at the picture and come up with a plan. Like you should do like this and this and this.
During
Uh,
practice?
yeah, and that also helped me for doing like new puzzles later on.
That's a
Yeah,
great point, because I often think the way that you were describing that you thought is that, like, I don't want to look at a new puzzle if I've got one too long, because I want to have the experience of just having, like, in a competition, you don't get to see it until you're starting to work on it.
yeah,
And if you look at a new puzzle like during practice, you give yourself certain advantages. But one of the things that you're making me think is that by looking at the puzzle and coming up with a plan during practice before the time starts, you're building the muscle memory in your brain to create plans, right? So that
yeah.
you're practicing making plans. And so by the time you get into competition, maybe you don't need all that time. Your brain can still execute on all of that planning um, just while you're looking at it. And if you hadn't been practicing it, you wouldn't necessarily be able to do it as fast in competition.
It's exactly that. Yeah, I think you have to connect uh, your brain to the process, like because if you just keep like doing puzzles and doing them as fast as you can, you don't necessarily learning anything from it. Like when I got the tiger puzzle in the finals,
Hmm.
I know at once like I'm not gonna do the tiger. Like this is a trap because yeah, I've done this.
Because other people started right off with the tiger. So we're talking about
Yeah,
World 2024 finals.
yeah,
The what is it, like 7 tigers in a jungle scene or something like that?
yeah. I'm not sure I actually have it here, but yeah, it's a lot of tigers.
So you realized that the tigers were not a place to start.
Yeah, and that's because I've like done. I wouldn't say like similar puzzles, but yeah, the ones with animals on them and
Hmm.
nature. And then I know from experience that if I do them, it doesn't turn out good. Like it doesn't work for me. But like previously, I could like do the same puzzle over and over again and just do the same mistake, like because I wasn't like thinking beforehand. I would just
Hmm.
puzzle, and then while I was sorting, I was like, "This is a good idea to start with," but then it turns out, it wasn't. I think like analyzing the picture beforehand sort of helps with that. Like the last new puzzles I bought, I didn't analyze them beforehand. I tried to like not look at them and see if I could make the correct decisions. Yeah.
Having had a lot of practice over the course of the year, lots more competitions than you had before, you came into 2024 with a desire to win.
Yeah.
You said in a Euro Jigsaw Jam interview that your goal was to win. Friend of the show and occasional co-host E.B. Karen asked, how did you feel about sharing your goal at that point out loud?
I can't remember actually having said that, but I think most people sort of knew that I had a desire to win. A lot of people were cheering for me also. So of course, I could feel like the expectations, um, but I think by now I've gotten so used to them. Yeah.
That's a good jumping off point for a sec. I imagine that as you did 2022 and then 2023 and then maybe even the Euro Jigsaw Jam, more and more people are becoming aware of you. More and more people are wanting to interact with you. I suspect that more and more people are wanting to take pictures and like talk with you, put you on podcasts, that sort of thing. What was that like?
It's fun. It's very like, yeah, it's touching that people find me inspirational and that people want to like talk to me and ask me for like some tips and stuff on how to do like speed puzzling faster. Um, it's mostly fun.
So 2024 comes around. How are you feeling going into it? More capable than you did in 23?
Yeah, absolutely. I was very like focused. Um, I don't know. I just like decided that I'm gonna win.
Nice. And then you come into Heat A and you destroy that puzzle. You could get the fastest time in world's history up to that point. It looked like everything was working as expected.
I was actually kind of nervous. Also, I don't know if I should be sharing it, but I came up to like the table and they were saying, don't touch the bag, don't touch the bag." And then Karen was standing there and we started like talking together and I was just like touching the bag. Like I couldn't like see the puzzle or anything.
Right,
So
right,
I
right.
was just like while
Your
I was
hands were
talking,
doing.
I was just like touching the bag. And then suddenly I'm like becoming aware of what I'm doing. I'm like they're saying like don't touch the bag, and I'm standing there touching the bag, and I just felt really guilty. Like and I became like super flustered like before we started.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really awful.
First rounds are not your friend.
No. uh, it was a really awful feeling. I felt like I was cheating, but
Is that right?
yeah. But of course, I couldn't like see the puzzle or anything,
Sure.
or feel the puzzle. But I was definitely touching the bag. Yeah. So I was a bit flustered like before we even started the whole thing.
Did that melt away once you got started?
No, it didn't. Yeah.
No. It was
No.
with you the whole time?
Yeah. I was
It's
just
like those missing pieces.
yeah. I was just thinking like, oh, why did I touch the bag? I was like touching the bag.
Oh
So
my God, I'm so embarrassed.
so that was my focus, like through the puzzle. So I think I did it slower than, no, I did it faster than my first time, but
Mhm.
but it wasn't like a really good time on that puzzle for me. Yeah.
At the end of this competition, for the first time, you looked pleased. Like this is the first time where it seemed like you were not just like stressed and relieving stress. You looked like, okay, like this was good. But then I heard after the fact that the rumor was that you felt like there was opportunity to go faster. And so was it
Yeah.
because of that or were there other things?
Yeah, I think it was that. And again, feeling angry with myself because I got hung up in the fact that I touched the bag. It wasn't a big deal, really. But
Oh, it was a whole cycle.
yeah,
It's like you felt guilty and then you felt mad about being guilty.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but the puzzle that I got was perfect. It's one of my favorite puzzles. So
I heard you say somewhere that you were hoping to get this puzzle.
yeah, I think it was like that or like another puzzle, but yeah, one of two puzzles.
It's interesting. So one of the questions I have here is that you mentioned in an interview after this particular heat that your nerves were different each year. I'm curious as to what that is, but maybe we already have that story. Is it like the guilt spiral this time was different from the missing pieces spiral last time, or was it some different kind of nerves?
I mean, there's always something apparently. Yeah. This year, I really wanted to win. It's like changes between being confident that I can do this and then, oh no, this is not working out. I cannot do this. And there are so many good puzzlers this year. So, and I didn't want to lose this opportunity to get first place because I'm not sure if I could like keep up the work and if I got like a second or third place this year, like
Right.
again, I'm not sure if I could like aim for the 2025.
Right. May be difficult to keep the motivation going.
Yeah, I felt like this is my last chance, sort of. So there was like pressure, definitely.
And even though in a heat for the world's competition, there's almost no chance you don't make it onto the next into semis, right? Like you'd have to do substantially different than your regular performance not to make it in. There's still a lot of pressure going on in your head over this round.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do good, like
Every
and
time.
yeah, and I knew a lot of people have been practicing puzzles and like
Mm-hmm.
buying all the new Ravensburger puzzles and doing them again, like over and over again. So I knew that I can't just take it easy and relax because you want to have like those top tables.
Right. That's a great point.
If not, you have to like share. So yeah, you have to like do good in each round, I think.
Did it matter to you at all that you had set the fastest time worlds wise?
No, it didn't. Yeah, I don't feel they were talking about it and that it was a big deal, but I don't know. It's like these are puzzles that we've all done before. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of us have probably done them way too much. So it's not like authentic time, sort of.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Then into semis, you have the I think of it as the Octopus Garden puzzle. You ended up second there
Yeah.
after Kati. How did that feel? Like if you're looking for confidence, that seems like that might be a confidence shaking moment.
Yeah, it wasn't a fun experience, but mainly because I made a bad choice, like in the puzzle. It really like messed up the whole thing. And then I started noticing like I've done a really bad choice there and I wasn't able to like fix it.
In terms of your approach,
Well, in the middle of the puzzle there was this yellow, maybe coral, um, and it had like different branches. And I know that's also a trap. Like you shouldn't do that. But then suddenly I was just focusing on that one and like trying to build it and had real like struggles with it. And I'm just thinking, oh, you should stop. You should do something else. This isn't working. But then I just continued, and I'm not sure what happened, but it wasn't a good feeling. And then, like up to Worlds, that was what I was practicing. That I would do good choices, and then if I did something that didn't work out, I would change my approach to it. And then suddenly I was standing there in like the semifinals, and I wasn't able to do that.
It's a hard thing to overcome. I've talked to a few people about this where you practice making better decisions and then some part of your brain decides to go a different way in the middle of a competition.
Yeah, it's almost like suddenly you have this twist, like
Yeah,
two
my personality.
persons arguing with each other. Yeah, and it's like, you shouldn't do this. And it's like, leave me alone. This is the way I'm doing this. And yeah, it's just like looking at it from a different perspective, trying to stop it. But
That's right. You're
nope.
talking to your brain going, listen, we talked about this. We're not going to do this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then this happened like maybe one out of, I don't know, maybe it's like 20 puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I do this. And then I had to do it there.
Yeah.
It was annoying. But like in retrospect, I'm thinking it was better to do it there than in the final.
It's
So
true. And then you had that opportunity to remember to reinforce that.
yeah, exactly. And also, like Kathy is an amazingly fast puzzler, and I think it's, or I hope it was like a fun experience
Mm-hmm.
for her to win, because uh, I got a feeling from a conversation with her that she didn't have big expectations. But I think that maybe made her realize that she's very fast, like she can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she was on the podcast, we were talking about how she early on saw like especially Alejandro as like this otherworldly inhuman person who was making amazing times, and then came to the realization in this competition that she is now one of those people.
Yeah, yeah,
That
exactly.
she is a person that other people are going to be like, someday I
Yeah,
can be like her.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I think she's a future winner of worlds. Yeah.
All right. So then into the finals.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Confident? Shaken?
Um, like to bring it back a bit after the semifinals, I lost all my confidence, so I was not feeling well at all, and it felt like it was gonna be like a humiliating experience to do the finals.
Really? Is this because of how the semis went?
Yeah, and I just like lost faith, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna do like the same mistake again. But I think that's where like my family came in and just gave me a lot of support, and we talked about it. And yeah, they also said like last year I had a bad experience in the first round, and then just it went well after that. So maybe like each year I need to have that one bad experience and then just like pick myself up again and do good.
You will make the best movies because in like sports competition movies, there's always that time when people like they're doing really well and then suddenly they're not doing well at all, and then there's the rallying music, and then they come and become a champion. The story of your life will look a lot like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then also the pairs final was
Mm-hmm.
before the individual final, and me and my sister we were almost like discussing should we drop it because we're just so tired and exhausted now. But then we
Uh-huh.
agreed, we're gonna do it, but we're gonna take it easy. Like we're just
Oh,
gonna have a nice time.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, yeah, we were gonna try. So we even had like this candy box with us.
Okay. I was going to ask you, but there's a box sitting in both that and the
Yeah,
teams.
yeah, yeah. So it's a little box and with different compartments. Yeah, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
candy from Norway. And yeah, so, like under the finals, I think at least 2 times I was like in the box and eating candy. And and also I had my AirPods on just to block out some of the noise, so we couldn't communicate that much. So it was a bit like pointing and yeah. But I also remember like a couple of times because I was gonna sit through the whole thing to like save my back for the final.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
and a couple of times I got up, and my sister, she was like, "Take it easy, relax."
Wow, that support is amazing.
Yeah, and then I just like sat back down and
Seems like a good break. Like Kati was talking about, like at some point she just went off to the gym and worked out and it sort of reset her brain. This feels like a version of that for you. Like you just had a less intense, like you're having a good time with somebody who supports you, sort of going back and forth, doing a puzzle. Maybe that was the reset that you needed.
yeah, we just had a great time. And then we finished up, and then we realized like we're sixth place, and that was amazing. And my confidence just went up through the roof.
Because you weren't expecting to be in the top 10, am I right?
No, I didn't think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't believe we could do that. Yeah. There were so many great puzzlers, so many great pairs. I didn't
Right.
think we would do like sixth place. So that really helped. Yeah, I'm so glad that we didn't like skip it.
So coming into finals, you had all that energy,
Yeah,
that mind trip.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I was on a high. So yeah, I was just feeling like, yes, I can do this. Like, this is no problem.
That's awesome.
Mm.
What did you feel when you saw the puzzle?
And perfect. Yeah, I thought it was perfect. I think it's a like medium difficult puzzle, and that was to my advantage. Yeah, because I can like handle that quite well.
Uh-huh.
So if it had been like a very easy puzzle, so I'm thinking like the postcard puzzles and like similar to those ones, I think it would have been more like unsure about how well I would do, because there's also just no room for mistakes on those.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the times are often very like close to each other. But yeah, and then I just started puzzling, and I also tried to like take the tigers, like the fur, in a pile, or get them like out of the equation. And through the whole puzzle, I was like thinking, should I do the tigers now? Like, no. Should I do the tigers now? No. So that was like a reoccurring question. I felt it was like not very fast, but no major issues either. Like I didn't have any big obstacles in my way. It went quite well, but I think the lighting was a bit. I think it was a bit dark. Like it was in the evening, because the puzzle felt a lot darker than when I see it now. So it was difficult to like do a lot of sorting. It was more like, okay, this one, this one, this one.
Yeah, so you're mostly just picking up individual pieces and you're like, okay, I know where that goes, I know where that goes, I know where that goes, rather than working on a particular section. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just like green and black and brownish, like all around. So there was just some like small areas that you could sort out and do.
So you come to the end of that puzzle, you finish, and the first thing you do is look around. It looked like you were like, wait, am I really the first one done? Is that
Yeah.
what you were thinking?
Yeah, so for the finals, I also had my AirPods in and I listened to music, and it was like the first time I had done that.
Because of course we want to try new things in the middle of a competition.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bold move, but I think it was the correct.
But it worked out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I was just feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the noise in the dome.
Does it get very noisy?
I mean, especially in the teams competition that we had like earlier that day.
A lot of talk.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
I got like a headache from that. So yeah, I didn't want to have to deal with all the talking. And also, when you're in the front row, I think there's a lot of like camera crew and organizers. Like, so they talk a bit, and yeah, I just wanted to try to keep my focus on the puzzle. But this worked out very well. So I made up this story that they are not like filming me. And so like towards the end, I was a bit nervous. Like they're not filming me, so I'm not winning this. They're because there are no people around me. Like
Right.
so, but then I don't think there was any cheering. I think I would have heard that through the AirPods. And then when I like placed or I think I have like 5 pieces left, and I start hearing this like beginning of a cheer and some claps. And right then I'm like, oh no, someone else is gonna win.
Oh
So
no.
close. But then it doesn't like escalate a lot until I put the final piece in, and it just like explodes. And then I look up, and there are this like it's a wall of like cameras, and but it's still I'm just like, oh no, I can't believe it. So yeah, I looked like to the left and to the right, and they're like still puzzling, and that's when I like realized that I won.
And so did you have a like strong sudden feeling of relief, excitement? My notes on here are that this is the first time you looked both relieved and happy at the same time.
Yeah, I think that describes it well. Relieved and happy. And then I just started looking for my sister. She was in the crowd. So I got like eye contact with her, and she was like super happy, and that also like made my feelings like stronger. Yeah, it was amazing.
So you achieved what you set out to do. That's got to be enormously satisfying.
Yeah, I think that's like the best part, that it was a goal. It wasn't just like the first year. It was fun having that second place. It was like an amazing feeling, but it wasn't like my goal that I had worked towards. But this
Mm-hmm.
time I felt like um, it was hard work that led me to first place. So that was a good feeling. Yeah.
And then you said there was a row of cameras. Everybody wants to ask you questions, I
Yeah.
imagine. Everybody wants to take a picture. What are the next few minutes like like at that point? Is it all a blur or like
I mean, it's a part of the game. Like you need to,
pose for
yeah, you
pictures,
need
shake
to
hands,
pause for
answer
the people.
questions?
Yeah, answer some questions and shake hands and accept hugs and yeah, but it's nice.
Accept hugs. I
Yeah.
love that.
My sister, she came into the competition area, so we hugged. It's really good to like share the excitement with someone you're close to.
And she's been such a strong supporter of you this whole way.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah. So it's in some ways, especially like not even in some ways, like especially like during the pairs side of things, like this is sort of her victory as well.
yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I feel it's a victory to my whole family. Like they supported me so much, so I couldn't have done it without them, and especially my sister. Yeah, it's a win for us all.
Did you celebrate in some way?
Uh, well, all the Norwegians that like were there and had the opportunity, we went for ice cream.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was that was it really. Yeah, then we had like the team finals the next day, so just had to get some sleep.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't really have any big celebration, and then I got sick on the day we traveled home.
COVID again?
Yeah, it's a tradition. So I mean, yeah, there are some traditions you want to like keep. Um, I'm not a fan of this one, but COVID is yeah. Yeah, I got home and I was just sick for like 2, 3 weeks, so I wasn't up for any celebration. And afterwards, it just I had a lot of stuff I had to do, so I haven't actually done anything.
So you never got the moment to be like,
No,
let's all
I
have a
haven't.
party or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't. I should.
Yeah.
maybe like in December or something. Yeah.
That's right. You owe yourself a party.
Yeah, I do. It's not too late, is it? No.
No, it's
No.
not too late.
No.
So do you have your mind set on 2025, or like you've achieved your goal? What from here?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we all want to participate because it's a fun experience. Like all the people, well, I think if you just take like 2025 as a year and not the World Championship, we also have the Norwegian nationals,
Right.
and there's also going to be like a Nordic.
Oh, that's right. I heard rumor there might be a Nordic championship.
Yeah. So of course we have like hope to do good in those. I hope a lot of people like join from Sweden and Norway and Denmark and Finland, and
Seems to be a big community of puzzlers in that area.
I think that would be really nice. And I think of course we are going to participate like in the World 25, but I haven't decided like if I want to keep up
your training regiment. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. I know it's maybe weird to talk about, like when you use this like smartwatches, and then they keep track of your like body battery. Yeah.
Yes.
Like puzzling for like 30 minutes is one of the most intense things I could do, according to this one. Yeah.
That is amazing. So you can see that on your watch that the puzzling is a intense activity. Is that because I imagine your heart rate's going or something?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I suppose so. Yeah, and just a high level of stress.
Yeah, being that focused continuously takes a lot out of you, I imagine.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I have to like find times during the week or the day where I know that I can like actually spend this energy now. Yeah. So I'm not sure that I'm gonna keep that up. But now I have like a break, I think until January, and then I'll start like doing more puzzles again.
Yeah, I've seen a number of people get burnout, where they just worked so hard, they competed so hard, and then they're sort of like, you know what, I just need space from this whole thing for a little while.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Kati Reiner was talking about exactly that thing on where taking some time away from puzzling is actually what helped her come back to puzzling in a good mind frame, right? It's the way of sort of giving herself the space to enjoy puzzling again.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah. It's a very good idea. I think that would help.
Well, I have to say that much like the rest of the world, I stood up and cheered when you won. I'm very happy for you. I thank you so much for taking the time to be on my podcast and tell me how that experience was. Is as expected, it was a delightful conversation.
Yeah, no problem. It was really nice talking to you.
Where can people find more about you?
So I'm on Instagram, so Kristin_puzzles.
Thanks for listening to Peace Talks. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at peace_talks, and you can send email to peacetalkscast@gmail.com.